girl from my school who I was friends with, was found dead, and her 2 eyes had been extracted. There was no doubt. Lucas was back to finish the job he had started. I know that 3 brutal murders should have made me panic, but I didn't worry too much about my safety because I was living over 10 states away. It would be so much easier to simply pursue closer targets, like he had been doing so far, but making this assumption was a mistake. After Camilla, Lucas came for me. I was jolted awake in the middle of the night by the horrible scratch of long nails against the metal of my doorknob. The smell of decaying flesh hit my nostrils almost simultaneously. There was no adrenaline rush in the world that could keep me from falling on the floor in a pool of my own vomit. As the 3 figures entered my room, I let out a scream I've been holding for over 5 years. Lucas was escorted by the walking, rotten corpses of a couple that had been in their 40s before dying. They hobbled unnaturally, leaving a trail of dead matter. I recognized their faces immediately because I saw them on the night before the shooting, in the car crash that killed them. Joan didn't like me to drive drunk and high, so she fought me and took the wheel. But she was inexperienced, barely starting to learn how to drive. She couldn't hit the brakes fast enough when a big truck changed lanes dangerously and cut off the car in front of us. We smashed our front bumper against their rear. We were unhurt, so I assumed the people in the other car didn't take much damage either. I was 16. I thought I was invincible. I thought death was something that only happened to other people, far from my sight, or to really old grandfathers. I told Joan we had to leave or we would be in trouble, and I saw their faces for a fraction of a second as she drove away trembling. I felt like we were in slow motion, as my senses registered everything with a sharpness they didn't usually have. The 2 of them, Mr. and Mrs. Rhines, the couple in the other car, were undoubtedly dead. I vaguely thought they would be fine, but we wouldn't, because my girl was driving her mother's car even though she still didn't have a permit. We didn't stop to help. We were scared. I was a coward. They were still alive when we left them. They could have survived if we didn't run away. Instead, a second vehicle crashed into them. It was late at night and a dark road. I only learned this part of the story after they visited me last November, and to this day, I still don't know what happened to the other driver. That night, I told Joan we'd sort things out in the morning. She was crying and obviously couldn't sleep a wink. She was a mess the next day. I tried to keep calm and rational and fix everything. I truly thought the only problem at hand was pretending that we weren't in the crash. We were getting rid of her mother's car as Lucas received the news. We were calling the insurance company, pretending that the car was stolen as he, maddened by his pain, started loading every gun in his house. I was calming Joan down and telling her we would be fine as Lucas mercilessly slaughtered half the people we knew. Joan was miserable. I was miserable too, but we still didn't know whether the people in the crash had lived or died. I know now that Joan did find out what happened way sooner than me. She had to know, and the answer was why she took her life, not the shooting. Not only the shooting, at least. She went through so much because of me. Everyone went through so much. So when Lucas and the zombies of Mr. and Mrs. Rhines entered my room, I begged for my life. I did it because I thought being killed by them wasn't enough to atone for what I've done to them. I offered to help Lucas with his plan, killing people and using their body parts to replace his parents, cutting their limbs and organs off right after death, preserving them on ice, researching old witchcraft and rituals, sewing them on his parents' decaying bodies. I've done it again and again, and now the Rhines couple is almost completely brand new. They just need new hearts to function again, almost like they never died. I offered mine for one of them, so this is goodbye.